There we are. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Solution Sunday, because the soul is the solution. And I am here this morning with my good friend, Susan Binnie, who is a master storyteller and self-empowerment coach. And she is one who helps bring out the aha moments in your life. So we're going to talk about what stories are you telling this morning? And you're going to have some great aha moments with Susan. So Susan, welcome to Solution Sunday. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's great to be here, and no pressure at all that's just been put upon me, right? All these people need aha moments, so I got to just be brilliant. But
oh, you are just naturally brilliant. So
oh, awesome.
Beautiful. So tell us a little bit about how, what is it that you do with stories, and how did you get into that?
Yeah, wow, that's a story in itself. So I started my journey in this entrepreneurial world, this entrepreneurial space in 2016, the end of 2016. And the reason I started was because I was actually laid off from a job that I had for 17 years. I was downsized, no fault of my own, but it felt like I had been fired. It felt like, we need your keys, there's the door, don't let it hit you on the way out. And it was devastating. It was a loss. It was grieving. It was huge. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? Right. I've been at this job for 17 years. I was almost 50 and I was stuck. And I thought, so what now? I don't want to go back to school. I don't want to, start a career all over again. I want to do something different. And what kept echoing out in my mind was, yes, you can. And those were the words that I told my daughter over and over and over, because 25 years ago, she was born with a disability. And the doctors would say, well, she can't walk without a brace, and she can't crawl, and she can't feed herself, and she can't dress herself, and she can't, all of these things. She's got mild cerebral palsy. And, I basically said, she can do anything she wants to do. It's about learning it a way that she can do it. And those words kept echoing through my brain. And I thought, you know what? If she can do it, I can do it. And if I can do it, you can do it. And that started a story playing out in my brain. And I have come to appreciate that. I'm grateful that my daughter has the disability that she has, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be doing the work I'm doing in the way I'm doing it. Definitely that message, yes, you can do anything, it might look different, but you can do it the way you're meant to do it, wouldn't be echoing through my brain. And I don't know that it would have gotten me here as quickly, but it's those stories that play out. And, I could go on and on about my daughter, and I can talk about all the diseases in the family, all the dis-ease that we go through. But instead, I just want to say, if my daughter walked up beside me right now, if you didn't know she had a disability, you just simply wouldn't know, because she doesn't allow the world to look at her and judge her. She is just free and willing to do whatever she does, right? And so really fast forward into the life I'm in now, I decided that there are people out there just like me, just like my daughter, that have a story to tell. And it's not always this big grandiose story about, I was diagnosed with this thing and now I've recovered. And I mean, a lot of people have that story, and that's great because they're trying to help others and advocate for them and bring them into the forefront. But everybody has a story, and we're all human. If you're going through something, you can almost guarantee there's somebody else out there going through the same thing. And if small things that you've done have helped you and could help them, your story's worth telling, right? I always say, if you can change the life with one story, if you can change one person with one story, it's worth telling. So I just want to empower not only the entrepreneurs out there to tell their story, to get their message out to the world, which is really where I started, because there were so many of them floundering, not knowing how to get that message out. But it's really about the story that we tell ourselves on a daily basis, right? It starts with, I can't do that. Well, yeah, you can. You can do anything you want. It's about setting your mind to it, right? So I'm so excited that you've invited me today, because there's so many health stories in my environment that, I mean, I've got another daughter who's got Lyme disease, and my husband's got PTSD, and I'm caregiver extraordinaire, and I've had back surgery, and there's just so many things, but I don't allow them to play out in my head in a negative way. And so in that positive frame, it's just how I live my life, right?
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, it's you have such a great outlook on life, and it's completely true. We are the soul. We are completely unlimited in any way, shape, or form. And unless we tell the story of our limitation. And so many of us, I mean, that's part of being human, is up until now is being limited. And everybody has. And right now we're going through this massive shift of consciousness where people are waking up to realize, wait a minute, I'm not limited. I am the soul. I'm an infinite being, and I can do anything I want. So you are like one of the forerunners of all of that with your daughter, and showing her that she can do anything she wants. Kathy says, what a great mom.
Thanks, Kathy. Yeah, and that when you just were saying that tweaked another story for me, and I'll make this one really quick. I mean, I'm full of them, right? So I can talk forever, but the stories that play out that, for so long, my children have been labeled with specific things, right? And yeah, I know we were talking a little bit earlier. My daughter was labeled with fibromyalgia at the age of 16.
Mm.
And one of the doctors said to me, too bad, so sad. Literally, too bad, so sad. She's going to have to just, lay in bed and do what she can and function however she can. Okay, she's 16. Do not tell me that story. And so I could have gotten stuck in that. And I've been living through the medical system and all of this stuff for like 25, 26 years of all of these things, right? And even longer than that, because when I was 20, I had a doctor tell me a really bad story of, well, Susan, you're having back surgery, and what did you do? And you got the bones of an 80-year-old. Oh my God. I was 18, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like history repeating itself. My daughter, and I was told not to have kids, right? So the irony, like, yes, I had kids, and don't tell me what I can and can't do, right? But for her to be told, and me to be told, your daughter is just going to have to lay in bed and be comfortable and do what she can. And then we find out 6-7 years later that in fact, it's not fibromyalgia, it's Lyme disease. And there is some help for her. And it's that mind thing that's been playing. But how do you, it frustrates me, because how do you get this out of your mind when somebody with an authority figure like a doctor says, this is your destiny, this is your life, right? And I know, like, you've got a health story. There's so many people that have health stories, but that just, it just drives me nuts, right?
Absolutely. Because, and see, here's the thing, as the soul, we are the soul, we're body, mind, and soul. And the soul is constantly communicating with us through our bodies. And when our body feels bad, when we're told a story, and that story is like, oh no, it's a clear sign that that story is not true, because it's the soul sending you the message going, red light, wait a minute, stop sign, that's not your story. Turn around, look in a different direction. But we're not ever told that. We have Gabby, the medical profession have not have got so much to learn. So wrong for them to say things like that. We know the power of the mind-body connection. Gabby, thanks for joining us this morning all the way from Australia. Woohoo! She's up in the middle of the night. Thank you. Way to go, Gabby. But it's absolutely true. The medical profession have much to learn because they're not telling us the true stories, not because they're bad people or anything like that, but because our bodies are designed to automatically heal themselves. And we are body, mind, and soul. And where the mind goes off balance, when the mind is in dis-ease, that dis-ease from the mind translates into the body. And in order to heal the body, you have to heal the mind. You have to heal the incorrect thought. So when the doctors give us a diagnosis and it's like, oh no, most people never even question it. The soul is going, hey, wait a minute, not your story. But we're just going, oh my God, now this is my story. Now I got to play out this story. No, you don't. Just like you said, Susan.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I don't know if it's a joke or what it is, but here's a little flip side to the doctor thing. Okay. So you have a really, really extreme headache. My daughter one of my daughters, my other daughter lives with migraine headaches, really, really bad. Right. And I know that there's a lot going on in her brain and a lot of stuff going on, but it's like this typical person who goes to the doctor and says, hey doc, I got this really bad headache. Can you help me? And he goes, oh, you got this headache. Does it hurt right back here? Yeah. Well, does it hurt right here in your temples? Yeah. And how about right behind your eyes? Yeah. Oh, you know what I have? Yeah, I do. You got an extreme headache. It's called a migraine. Oh, so what do I do, doc? Oh, you take all these pills and call me in the morning. Oh, okay. So I need a whole bunch of pills to help relieve my headache. But what we don't realize, and I mean, I'm sure a lot of your audience does realize this, what I didn't realize for years, COVID's brought it all to the forefront for me, is, and some of you might be surprised by this because I'm a very intelligent person, right? But if a doctor gives me a medication and I'm told to use that, then I just do it. But I don't think about the fact that the doctor's getting paid to write that prescription. The doctor got paid for me to be in his office. The doctor is helping the pharmaceutical companies to stay in business so that he can continue to write prescriptions. Oh, this is all about money. I get it now, right?
Yes, exactly.
Like,
exactly.
And there's no reason for that. There's no reason for that.
Precisely. Exactly. And we're just simply taught from day one that somebody else knows our bodies better than we do, that doctors are the only ones that know anything about physical bodies. And every time something shows up in our physical body, we have to go run off to the doctor to find out what's wrong with our bodies. Well, guess what, folks? We are body, mind, and soul, and we are each the soul given a physical body to operate. And we are the ones that are in charge of operating this body. And our bodies are designed to heal themselves automatically, but only every single time, as my mentor Keith always likes to say, but only every single time. It works, but only every single time. And it works every single time when we allow it to work that way. And the only way we can allow our bodies to work that way is to know that our bodies heal themselves. We're not taught to know that our bodies heal them. We're taught to know that there's something wrong with us because that's what sells the pills.
Right. And when we're told something, okay, and I want you guys to hear this, right? I know you know Lisa, and I'm getting to know Lisa, and she's amazing. And all these little sparks are going off in my mind. Years ago, I had a medical professional try and educate me the right way. And I'm all of a sudden it's coming right back to me. And at the time I was offended because I was like, why aren't you like listening to me? Why aren't you doing another surgery on my back? Why aren't you giving me more pills? Why aren't you helping me with my pain? Because, you know, like Lisa says, this is the societal norm. This is what we grew up with. This is what we're told, right? My parents were told, if your kids are sick, take them to the doctor. If they're really sick, take them to emergency. And guess what? That's what I've done all these years as well. But I had this doctor, I want to say I was about 30, 35-ish. I know I had my kids. And he said to me, Susan, your back is not the problem. I'm like, well, yeah, I've had surgery. It's hurting the same. It's a slip disc. He said, Susan, your back is not your problem. Your weight is your problem. And your mind is your problem. And I looked at him and I'm like, you asshole, right? Sorry for the language. But it's like, what? You're calling me fat and you're calling me stupid. He said, you need to go home. You need to lose some weight. You need to get the weight off of you so it's not hurting your knees and your back. And once you know that and understand that, you'll be a happier person. And go and watch The Secret. Go and read The Secret. Your mind needs to change and needs to shift. There's nothing wrong with your back. And those words now, I'm like, where's that doctor? I want to find him. I want to hug him. I want to say thank you so much for trying to educate me in the ways of the body, mind, and soul, right? But at the time, I'm like, you're going against everything I know and I believe, so you're wrong because you're the only one saying that. And in actual fact, they're wrong. And it's up to all of us to have this new story play out, this new recording in our head that it is our body that can heal us, right? And when you think about the percentage of our brain, and I don't know what percentage it is, but it's a very small percent of our brain that actually works. But when we open up other areas and we're open to the mind controlling and the telling yourself a positive story and all of that opening up in the mind, your world is going to open. Mine has, just to a new outlook. Like, Kathy said, oh, you're a great mom. And I appreciate that. But I'm like, we're all great people. We just need to be able to have empathy and compassion and understand that we are not at I want to say behind bars, and we're not allowing certain people to whip us and tell us what we're supposed to do. And it starts with the medical system. It just does.
Absolutely. Shannon says, our son was diagnosed with cerebral palsy at birth. My husband and I decided not to research this condition. We chose alternative routes, ignored the cookie cutter outlook by docs and surgeons, and treated him like a whole person. He is now 22 and a very fit whole body fitness instructor. Thank you for this conversation.
Wow. Doesn't that warm my heart? I mean, yeah, my daughter, I mean, I did fall into the, okay, so what do I do? What do I this? What do I that? Right. But that yes, I can attitude was always there. And, my daughter going through the teenage years, and you probably laugh at this, my daughter going through the teenage years, she said to me, Mom, don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what I can and can't do. I'm like, oh, you've lost it. She goes, no, I haven't lost anything. I can just do whatever I want to do. I'm like, okay, she's perfect. She's a typical teenager. She's telling me what she's going to do and what she's not going to do. And she still does. And she lives independently without any aid. And right, like, I mean, she's living in my basement right now, but totally independent of me. And we used to go to the hospital all the time. And now it's maybe once in a blue moon. But I was having a conversation with Lisa here not too long ago. I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. And I said, oh, it's my fault. Not that it's my fault because I didn't know any different. But when my daughters, both of them, get really, really sick and they are in lots and lots of pain, I'm like, okay, well, what do you want to do? I want to go to the hospital. Okay, because that's what we've always done. But now I've changed that. And Lisa, you'll love this story. My daughter was in a lot of pain, and it was the typical, we got to go to emergency, got to do this thing. And I said, what can we do for you here? What kind of pain meds do we have in the house that we can help you with? I don't need to go to the hospital and wait for 7 hours to go into, I'm in Canada, so I know things are a little different all around the world. But for me, it's let's go to the hospital, wait for 4 or 5 hours, have a doctor come out and see you, pump you full of meds, then you're feeling fine. And they say, well, you don't need me anymore. You're feeling great. Go home. Yeah. What happens when the meds wear off? You're not solving anything for us.
Right.
And that rang true. It's like, what can we do for you here that they're not going to do for you there? And in the end, they're going to say, there's nothing wrong. Go home. So I'm going to say, there's something bugging you. Let's figure out what it is. And let's stay at home.
Beautiful. I love that. Yeah. We're just so hypnotized by the whole medical model into believing that they're the authority and whatever they say is God's honor truth. And it's not. They never ever talk about how the body heals itself. It's like, no, there's something wrong with you. Here's the meds. Or you have a life-threatening disease. You're going to be dead in the next 3 to 5 years. Really? Like, who are you to tell me how long I'm going to live in this body of mine that heals itself?
Yeah.
Hey, it's a really, really insidious programming when doctors are telling people how long they're going to live, how long you have left to live.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you think about it, and it's very simplistic, I'm going to put this in, I just went, I had this aha. Okay. Very simplistic. If I cut my hand from here to here, it's a small cut. I can get a Band-Aid. I can put, whatever healing on it, and it will heal because it does, right? The body heals itself, right? We have a cut on the inside that's causing us pain. Yes, it's causing us pain, but if we do the proper things and we eat the proper food and we take care of ourselves and we do different things, it will, right, heal. Now, I mean, Lisa can talk obviously better about this than I can because this is the work she does, but I can tell the story around it, right? But here's the thing. If you cut yourself from here down to here, okay, you get a bigger cut. Now, is that going to heal? Absolutely. Does it need a couple of stitches? Does it need a doctor? Probably. But I have a needle, I have a thread. No, I'm not going to stitch it up, but I could, right? And that's what they're going to do. And there's going to be a scar or not, right? But that's why we need to go to a doctor, not because they're saying, you've got this massive gash across your hand, you're going to bleed to death. No, you're not. Wrap it in a towel. You're fine. Put some stitches on it. It will heal itself. It's fine, right? And that's very simplistic of this whole thing, but think about it. How many of you have ever had a cut on your hand and you wrapped a Band-Aid around it just to protect it and keep it clean? And then it healed itself. I'm not suggesting cutting your hand. I'm not suggesting cutting your hand off. It's not going to grow back, but can you function without it? Absolutely. It just is, right?
Yeah. Cuts, breaks, sprains, bruises, burns, all heals right up.
Yeah.
And the reason that those things heal is because we know that they do. Like, we've all had visual proof.
Right.
When the baby is born, if the baby gets a little cut on its cheek, you don't have to teach that body how to heal. Like, it already knows, it's built right in. So that's going to heal. It's not going to be a major deal. But when we have internal issues that they simply call diseases, we don't see the cut. We don't see the break. We don't see the broken heart. We don't see the cut cords of the person that dumped us, or we got the pink slip from our job. Like we don't see those cuts and bruises and wounds. But then when we are processing that wound and trying to heal that wound, our body is responding to that very wound. The body is literally trying to help us heal the wound. So then when we heal that wound, when we come to the realization, like, well, I got the pink slip, you know what? After a couple of weeks, like, you know what? I'm not going to live in this worry anymore. You know what? I'm just going to make this the story that says, this is the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I'm going to go out and I'm going to start my own business, or I'm going to go do something. And then the body goes, oh, all right, now we're good. Now we've healed that wound. And so now what the body was doing to help us through the processing of that wound, now the body has to reverse whatever it was doing during the processing of the wound. So now the body is bringing itself back into balance. And that process of healing is the part that's actually kind of painful. It's uncomfortable. But that's the part where we go, oh no, now I have discomfort. Uh-oh, this is bad. Now I got to go to the doctor because there's got to be something wrong with me. Well, actually, you're in healing. Your body is restoring itself.
Yeah.
So we have to change the way we look at our bodies, because when we go into healing, we go to the doctor and they tell us what's wrong with us. It's the mindset. We have to understand what's actually happening with our bodies, because when that headache occurs, or when the pain shows up, it's, if we automatically knew, oh my gosh, my body is healing itself, we wouldn't automatically be in, oh no, there's a problem. And if we know, oh, my body is actually healing itself, thank you, body. It's a completely different thing, because then there's no resistance. There's no resistance to the pain that shows up. There's no resistance to the symptoms that appear. There's actually an embracing of the symptoms and the pain, because then we know, I was struggling with this, and now I came to resolution. Now I can get it out of my body, and now everything comes back into balance. So it's a completely different mindset. So when I was going through being attacked by cancer, my life story was a living nightmare. Like, it was awful. It was like every day, it was like, oh my God, am I going to make it? Am I, what's going to happen? It seems to be getting worse and not better. And, the whole story about this thing that no matter where I went, there it was, and I couldn't get away from it until I was able to really quiet my mind and sit down and say, Lisa, what do you actually know about this situation? Well, what I know about the situation is that I've been having a lot of trouble trying to figure out where I'm supposed to fit into this world. And I have a lot of stress going on in my life. So I know the stress is affecting my body. So what do I know? I know that my body's out of balance because I'm out of balance. And then I realized, well, if my body's out of balance because I'm out of balance, is there actually some cancer thing that's attacking me? No, there's not. There's me out of balance. There's me and my cells. There is no third party. There is no cancer thing attacking me. That's the story that we've been told. It's not a true story. We have to start looking at these stories. And what I realized in that moment, I realized there is no such thing as a disease. That disease is literally, now it has been turned into a marketing plan. Because when you look at when you watch TV, every commercial break, how many of those commercials in that commercial break are for a brand new drug, for a brand new disease?
Yep.
It's the marketing plan. didn't start out that way, but it is now. And
Yep.
once we get rid of that entire idea, it's like there's me and there's my cells. My cells have been out of balance because I've been out of balance. When I bring myself back into balance, when I heal the emotional wound, the physical stuff heals as well.
Yeah. And as you're saying that, I'm like, okay, so if there's no cancer, how is it that my dad died of cancer? And then I think about it, and it's because it overtook a certain part of his organ, right? It was spread throughout his back before that they got it, right? And they said
That's
to
the
him,
story.
right? And this is what they told him, right? And so they said, this is like riddled throughout your back, and you've lived a long life. He was, in his late 80s, and he was ready, right? And he was complicit to basically say, yes, this is what is going to happen, and this is the end of my life, kind of thing. But they said, you've got a couple of months to live. And he said, how can I make it longer? And they're like, well, you can't get rid of this. And he said, I know that, you've told me that. But what I want to know is, how can I give myself a little bit longer time to grieve with my wife, so that we can have these stories? We can, they couldn't do much of anything, right? But I think they did do a couple of trips or a couple of things. I don't really know. Like my brain is not really functioning to remembering timelines. But what I do know is my dad left this world on his own terms, at his own time. And it was him that did that, right? He waited, and this probably isn't a new story for anybody, but my whole family was in his hospital room. And I had said to him a couple days earlier, I'm going to work as much as I can, and I'll be here as much as I can. And so the day he passed, I was actually at work, and my whole family was with him. And they're watching him suffer. They're watching his body give up. They're watching all of this stuff happen. And I arrived, and my family basically said, well, we're all at a point where we're all together with dad, and we're ready to say goodbye, because he's not really understanding what's happening, and he's not really understanding what's going on, and whatever. And so I said, well, I'm going to stay here for a little while with my sister. And I did. And he talked to me in, some broken language, but I understood him. Mm-hmm. And one of the last things he said was, I love you all. And I said, I know, Dad. And now it's time for you to rest. And it's time for you to go home. And I held his hand, and he passed. Mm-hmm. And it was such a wonderful feeling. But the fact that he was told, this is your life. You got a couple of months left. Go home. There's not much we can do for you. And he said, I need more time. Mm-hmm. How can I get more time? So he had like 7-8 months. He had some treatment for cancer. And it wasn't going to cure it in his mind. It wasn't going to cure it in their minds, but he was ready to go on his own terms. And, as you're telling all this story, and I mean, this woman is brilliant. If you guys haven't had a chance to talk to her, or talk about your particular situation, or message her or something, she's brilliant. You can hear that when she talks. She tells me, oh, well, I'm not really a storyteller. I'm like, oh yeah, you are, right? You got these stories, right? She was told she had cancer, and she could have just said, oh, okay, well, when am I going to die? And then your body says, I'm dying. I'm going to die. I'm going to go. I'm going to, right? But she was like, no, right? And she can tell the story so much better than I can. But when there's something in your system that is telling you you're tired, you sleep. I'm tired. I'm going to sleep. Oh, wait, no, I'm not tired. I'm hungry. Because it's the same feeling. I'm going to eat. How many of us are up at like 10 o'clock at night? Me last night. I couldn't sleep. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to have a piece of toast. Well, why are you having toast? You're not hungry. You're tired. You need to just close off your mind, close off your brain, and rest and meditate and go into it. And I was so excited for this morning. That didn't happen. But I was like, there's so many things that we tell ourselves that are so hard for our health.
Mhm.
And like I'm just go ahead, Lisa. My brain is all these words are coming from all these different ways. And I'm just like, why? Why are we allowing this? Right? Even when okay, I said I was done, but okay. But it's like, when I lost my job, because I lost my job after 17 years, I was told, Susan, we need your keys. It's time for you to go home. Take what you can, and we'll arrange for you to come back in a later time. And my reaction was, can I stay for 2 weeks? Can I have 2 weeks just to close up all the stuff with my, and they're like, no, you got to go. And so I was like, okay, fine, I'll go. You don't trust me. You don't believe in me. You don't this, you don't that. And all these things I said. And guess what? I was in bed for days. I was depressed. I went through a real tough time because nobody loves me. Everybody hates me. And this is the story that played out. Instead of the story now is it's the best thing that ever happened to me because I get to do the work I love, helping people tell themselves a better story. And it's your story, right? You share what you want to share, but it's not over until you say it's over. And it doesn't have to go the way anyone else wants it to. You get to play it out and tell it. So if you're having a tough time with work, or you're having a tough time with your kids, or there's something, massive that's going on in your life, if you say, oh, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Oh, this is really running me down. Oh, I feel so exhausted. Oh, I feel so tired. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to be exhausted. You're going to be tired. You're going to lay and you're going to say, like, this is the worst thing ever. I'm going to die in this. It's just like something that I teach all my students. If you say you're a duck and you quack like a duck, and you waddle like a duck, and you look like a duck, guess what? You're going to become a duck. So stop saying you're a duck. A little off the deep end there, but literally stop telling yourself stories that aren't true.
Exactly. And stop telling yourself stories that you don't enjoy telling.
Amen.
Right?
Amen. Yes.
I mean, why would you tell a story that you don't enjoy telling? I have cancer. It was a pretty crappy story to be telling myself. It wasn't true to begin with, and it wasn't empowering. It was not the story I had any interest in telling whatsoever. I would much rather tell the story of I'm healthy and happy and fit and having fun and enjoying my life. Like, that's the story we all want to be telling, right?
Mhm.
Ultimately, we want to be telling the story of heaven on earth, of living in peace and harmony with each other, with the planet, with ourselves. We want to be telling the story of health and well-being, joy and prosperity, where we all just work together and enjoy each other's company so we can all just live on this most beautiful planet. But we have all been told stories that are not true. We've been told that we have to fight for our freedom. We're free. What are we fighting for? We are divine sovereign beings in physical bodies, the soul. We are free. We are unlimited. It's a story that we're told. We're told stories about those people over there and that country over there and this invisible enemy that's out to get us. Be careful, beware. They're stories and they're not true. The story that is true is that each and every one of us is the divine sovereign being, and that we are unlimited in any way, shape, or form. And we can have, do, and be anything and anyone we desire to be. We can tell any story of ourselves that we choose. You are the only one that can tell your story. I am the only one that can tell my story. And we each get to tell the story on our own terms. So if somebody else is telling you a story about you that you don't like, you have cancer, you have 6 months to live, you don't have to tell their story of you. You can tell your own story of you.
Yeah.
And you know what? Your body is designed to be healthy and fit and heal itself every single time. Just like Keith on here says, wouldn't it be cool to go see a doctor and have them tell us what's right with us? Those are the doctors of the future. Those are the doctors who understand the 5 biological laws and how our bodies heal themselves every single time.
Yep. And I'm going to take that. Was that Keith?
Yep.
Yeah. Great comment. I'm going to take that one step further. Wouldn't it be great if we did?
Birthday, Keith.
Oh, happy birthday. Yeah. Wouldn't it be great if we didn't have to go to the doctor?
Exactly.
To hear what we don't want to hear because we already know what we can do to help ourselves.
That's it. And that's my story. You just told my story. I never go to the doctor. It's like, it's just not a thing. It would never occur to me to go, even when a few times, like I passed a kidney stone one day. I gotta tell you, it was not a pleasant experience. It was the most painful thing that ever has happened to me. And I thought, oh my God, do I go to the doctor? I'm like, why would I go to a hospital and be somewhere where I'm even more uncomfortable than in my own house? I know what's going on with my body. It's completely obvious to me what's happening here. And the thing's gonna pass. Like, if I trust my body and if I call a good friend who does energy work, I said, hey, here's the situation. This is what we need to do. We need to dissolve this energetically. We need to break it up. So the two of us, we sat there and we broke it up energetically. And within a couple of hours, done and over with. And I was all right back up on my feet and everything was good. So why would I go to a doctor where I was not going to be back up on my feet for days after that, when I could take care of it myself? And each and every one of us have the opportunity to do that when we understand that our bodies are here to help us. Our bodies are durable. They are fit. They are built to take a beating. You can fall down a hillside and it's like, it gets back up. It's like, all right, maybe a little beaten up, but it heals itself. These bodies are spectacular and they're designed to live for far longer than we've been told. We've been told a story that, you know, if you get to be 80 years old or 90 years old, like, wow, that's a full life. You've lived a whole thing. You're all done. Why? These bodies can go for 150, 200, 300 years. As long as we are keeping them healthy and fit, they regenerate and rejuvenate themselves all the time. We're getting brand new cells all the time. So these bodies can last far longer. There are documented cases of people living far longer. So we have to tell a new story.
Wow. That's such an interesting reality. I wanted to say concept, but it's an interesting reality of, I got to work more. I got to make more money. I get to serve more people because I'm going to live till I'm 300. What? Mind blown. But it's a possibility, right?
Absolutely.
And it's like, I mean, I say money, but it's all energy. It's the flow of everything, right? It's you give, you take, you give, you receive. It's all there. But to let anyone else dictate that, right? It's just like, and I'm going to take this maybe a little bit further for people. Maybe it's not as far as what you've heard Lisa say. I'm pointing up because on my screen she's up there. She might be over there. She might be over there. I don't know where she is. She might be down. I don't know. Right? She's just everywhere. She's everywhere. But it's like something I teach is success. Okay. Here's this word. Society has said what success is. Society has said what rich is. The media says what successful is, right? Like Donald Trump. Don't get me started, but I'm just saying, Donald Trump, we all know him. we've learned to not like him. We've learned to love him, whatever your story is. But he's got like millions of dollars, right? Millions of dollars. And he's successful. I say he's not, right? I'm successful because I have 4 children. I have 4 grandchildren. I've survived a blended family. I've had 3 marriages. I'm happy. My family's happy. I'm comfortable. I have a roof over my head. I have food on my table. I get to do what I want to do when I want to do it. Freedom. You know, Lisa's already talked about that. I have the freedom to be, do, and have anything I want. I'm successful. It's not about how much money I have in my bank account. It's about a state of mind. I'm healthy. Why? Because I say I'm healthy. It's a state of mind. It's what I declare is reality, right? And if I get a massive pain in my lower right side later today, I'm going to go, is it appendix? Is it bladder? Is it, right? There's going to be some things playing out in my brain. And if it gets really, really bad and I don't know what to do for it, I'm going to do one of 2 things. I'm either going to call Lisa or I'm going to get myself to the hospital. But I guarantee you I'm going to lay down first. I'm going to rest first. I'm going to take an Advil first. And if it gets really, really bad, I might go to the hospital. I might call my health authority and say, you know, this is what I got going on. You know, we've got that advantage here where we can call a nurse and they can talk us through it. And if they think that there's something serious, then go. But I'm not just going to go, oh, I got this pain in my stomach. I must have eaten something bad. I've got food poisoning. I need to go somewhere. No, I'm going to lay, I'm going to rest. I'm going to listen to what I know to be true about my health. Just like I'm going to listen to what I know about success. And I'm going to make sure that I'm on the path to get there. And I get to define it. You get to define it. And that's what it's all about. I mean, it's completely different language than what Lisa's speaking, but it's exactly the same message. It's my version of the story. It's my perception of the story. It's her perception of the story. It's your story. And you get to tell it for yourself.
Exactly. You know, when I was living the story of, oh my God, this is terrible, this is bad, this is awful. And, you know, am I going to live? Am I going to die? At the time, I realized when I thought about what my course of action was going to be, and I thought, you know, this is my moment for mastery. Like, what story do I really want to tell? I want to tell the story that I am the master of my own body and that I am the master of my own life, that I can tell any story I choose. And I knew that if I ran off to the hospital and did the, you know, the chemo or the radiation or the pills or what, I would give those things the credit for healing me. And I knew also that my problem, the problem of cancer, was not going to go away because it would still be hanging out in the background. Is it going to come back? Is it going to come back? What happens if it comes back again? Is it going to happen to me again? I knew that I had to get rid of the whole story, hook, line, and sinker. I knew that I need to remove that from my reality completely. So I knew that I had to become master of my own body, because I knew that if I knew how to heal myself under any condition, disease wouldn't be a problem ever.
Yeah. Because you're not telling yourself this little in the back of your mind. I mean, brain's a powerful thing, right? And what just spoke to me there was you're not giving your brain, body, mind, soul permission to let that continue to attack you. It's just like the other day. Okay, I have this garage sale going on. I don't know why I did it, but the community's doing it, so I agreed to do it. I don't know, right? A little bit crazy. I got it today too. But I've got this garage sale going on. And the other day, I just wanted to grab something quick to eat. And it was really, really hot. It is really, really hot. And I thought, oh, I got a cold, vodka cooler in the fridge. I'm going to grab that. Right. And then I had some fruit with yogurt and a little bit of whipped cream dip. And I ate sort of here and there and here and there, drank, right? And then I got this really weird stomach ache. And I'm like, what is going on? I got to go sit in the house in my air conditioning and I got to just let this percolate, right? I mentioned to my soon-to-be son-in-law what was going on. And he goes, okay, let me get this straight. You drank alcohol and you had dairy and you had way too much of it. And you added the acidic of fruit into that. I'm like, yeah. He goes, okay, so it will pass. Your problem is you added alcohol with, right? How many of us are putting things in our body that our body don't like? And so we're putting this food with this food. And if we did that outside of our body, there's a chemical reaction. It's going to make us feel crappy, right? Like it's just mind blowing. It's that story. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, okay, this will pass. This is because I was stupid and I drank alcohol with dairy and the acidic fruit. I'm fine. And within minutes, my body felt better.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I'm understanding this. So I guarantee you the things that I'm not going to put in my body together at the same time again are everything I just said I ate. I'm not going to put that in again, right? I'm not going to do what I've always done to get the same results. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to tell a different story. I'm going to listen to my body, mind, and soul and how it all works together so that I get the result I want. I deserve.
Exactly.
I get to have, right?
Yeah. And like the moment, at first when that happened, it was like, oh, what's going on? What's wrong? And that was the story that was going on. Uh-oh, there must be something wrong with me. And then as soon as you had that little light bulb moment, it was like, oh, I see what happened here. Like, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm totally fine. Bam, all gone. Right?
Yeah.
It's that little mind shift of, oh, I'm actually totally fine. That's what shifts it. And that was the same thing, same exact realization for me was like, wait a minute, there's nothing attacking me. Like that's not even real. It's not, I'm totally fine. If I just stop worrying about this thing that I think is attacking my body, and I start trusting my body instead, oh, I bet you my body's just going to come right back to balance.
Yes.
Ta-da.
Yes.
Michelle says, shouldn't a diagnosis reveal why? Not just give you the Latin fancy word for the symptoms. Why does the medical community not care what happened in our lives? Right? Like every time something shows up in our body, there's a reason it's showing up in our body. It didn't just fall out of the sky into our body. So you're right, Michelle. They don't look at the mind, the body, mind, and soul are three parts of one thing. They look at these things as three completely separate things, and like the soul is way off, who knows where, and the body's right here, and everything has to do with just the body. Well, no, soul's right here, and anything that happens in the mind is going to also affect the body. So let's look at the whole being. Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And let's look at the whole being and know that it works together. And that's the thing. It's the understanding and the knowing, right? I'm not saying anything different than what Lisa's already told you, but in my mind, it's like, I know that I've been given this body to live in. And I know that my brain can tell me a good story, can tell me a bad story, right? And I get to make that choice. Nobody else makes it for me. Nobody else makes it for you. You have a choice, and it's what you choose to believe in.
Absolutely. We have the choice. So many of us resist the body because the body is the part that feels physical pain. So we don't like feeling pain. We don't like feeling emotional pain. We don't like feeling physical pain. And, you know, when we resist anything in our bodies, when we have ideas that this body is ugly, this body is too short, it's too tall, it's too fat, it's too thin, it's too black, it's too white, it's, you know, it's that we don't like this body, then the body is not going to function to optimum performance. When we're self-devaluing, when we are looking at our bodies like there's something wrong with it, I don't like being in it, I wish I wasn't here, I wish my life was different. When we're telling a story that we don't enjoy telling, that story wears on our body. It's like driving down the road with our foot on the brake. We're not just driving freely, we're driving with a foot on the brake. The brakes are gonna wear out pretty soon. like there's gonna be wear and tear on the car when you're driving down the road with your foot on the brake. So that's what's happening with our bodies when we're not fully in alignment and in the flow and in love. Like to love and honor and appreciate ourselves and ourselves. The resistance is where the pain comes from. So our bodies simply start to wear out through any resistance that we have. That's called aging. So it's the same thing. We've been going through life kind of like with our foot on the brake a little bit. I don't like this, you know, I don't like that, and it just, we get smaller and smaller, and we just start wearing away. And that's that aging process. And when we to reverse that aging process, we start to love and honor ourselves and stop listening to everybody else's story about who we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to live and what we're supposed to do and what we're never supposed to do. Why are you thinking that? And why are you doing that? When we just start listening to ourselves and we stand in our own integrity and we act in accordance with what's right for us. It doesn't have to be right for anybody else, but if it's right for you, then do what's right for you and stop worrying about what everybody else wants you to do. Because right now in this world, there are a lot of people with a lot of loud voices that want to tell you what to do. And they're doing it with force, they're doing it with fear, they're doing it with control and manipulation because they can, because we allow them to.
Yep.
Because when they yell loud at us and they say, you have to go do this or you're never going to be able to do this other thing that you want to do. Okay, well, I guess I better do this thing that I don't want to do because you want me to do it, because if I don't do it, then you're not going to let me do the other things that I do want it. If we just stand in our own integrity and realize that the voices that are screaming and yelling at us, they actually don't have any power except for the power that we give them, we can start living in our own integrity. And our health and our well-being starts to skyrocket. Our angel wings start to unfurl and we start to remember who we are. There are people on this planet that have clipped our wings. For centuries upon centuries, humanity's wings have been clipped. And it's time for us to remember who we truly are and unfurl those angel wings and start being who we truly are. Because we are well beings. Well-being is who and what we are.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I know our time is almost run out, but on that, what you've just said, again, I'm so grateful that we've met. I'm so grateful that she's brought me on today, because my message is really what she's just said, in completely different language, in completely different words, because it's mine and it's not hers, but it's the same message. And it says it right here. And this has been my tagline for a very long time. Stand in the power of your story. It's your story. And there's power. And it's power to help you heal, help you be better. I teach, yes, I can. Yes, I will. Because yes, I am. Yes, I can. What can you do? What can you do? What will you do to get there? And who are you? Who do you want to be? How do you want to feel? Right? I am a healthy being. I can take care of my body, and I will do whatever I can do from a mindset perspective to get there, because you deserve it.
Absolutely. Tell the story of your greatness. Own your angel wings. Own that you are an infinite being, and own your magnificence. When you do that, those angel wings will spread out and you will soar. You will fly above all of the other stuff, and you will rise to a whole new version of yourself and tell the greatest story ever told, yours. Beautiful. Susan, thank you so much for being on this morning. It's been such a pleasure. I loved speaking with you. You always bring out the best in everybody around you, and I always have light bulb moments, beautiful insights, and it's just such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great. Yeah, I couldn't think of a better place to be. 8 a.m. my time on a Sunday morning. This has been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you for getting up with us. And if people want to reach out to you and find you, where can they reach you?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the best place right now is ironically probably my email. I was going to say Facebook, but I've been sort of distancing on Facebook because there's some negative stuff going on.
Mhm.
But you can reach me on Facebook. You can email me. As long as you remember Susan Binnie, you can reach me. SusanBinnie.com. Susan@SusanBinnie.com. Susan Binnie on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on Instagram. Look me up. My picture will come up in all of those places, and just reach out. If you want to reach out to me and get in touch with me like right now, you can text me in Canada, 780-904-7893. I won't answer the call typically because I get calls from all over the world at really weird times. But text me and say that you saw me here and you want to chat. I would love that. And if any of you are stuck in your story, I would jump on a call with any one of you, you know, for a free consultation, just to hear your story and to help you out a little bit. Sometimes it's just about that quick little aha moment that can change our lives. And I mean, that's a free thing, right? And I'm more than willing to do that for anybody. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Susan. And thank you all for joining us this morning. For everybody that has been on live here on Facebook, and anybody who watches in the future on Facebook or on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Until next week, create for yourselves the greatest week possible. Tell the story of your greatness this week. Enjoy, everyone. Thanks so much. Bye for now.